Tim Walz and J.D. Vance last night had a debate where they essentially had a competition on who can sell out the American people to Israel the most. To highlight how absurd our democracy is, the very first question at the vice presidential debate was whether they would authorize a first strike on Iran by Israel. Literally, the first question was about defending Israel and had nothing to do with the American people. And within the first minute of the debate, Tim Walz was repeating Israeli genocidal propaganda.
Let's keep in mind where this started.
Let's understand how we got here.
October 7th.
On October 7th,
Hamas terrorists.
Hamas, a terrorist organization,
massacred over 1,400 Israelis.
1,200 Israelis. Many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now. Israel's
ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental.
Has a right to defend itself. We would.
No, Tim Walz. This did not start on October 7th. This started at the Nakba in the illegal occupation of Palestine. Tim Walz also makes a huge gaffe where he accidentally says the quiet part out loud.
The expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States.
Tim Walz says the expansion of Israel is an absolute necessity for the United States. Tim Walz made it 100% clear that his priority and the priority of the Biden-Harris administration is to help the Zionist entity achieve their aspirations of building a greater Israel. Tim Walz, in this debate, sounded no different than a standard John McCain Republican. He also bragged about receiving the endorsement of Dick Cheney during this debate.
From Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift, and a whole bunch of folks in between there. And they don't all agree on everything, but they are truly optimistic people. They believe in a positive future of this country.
Tim Walz is neocon scum and all the liberal propagandists who was excited that Kamala Harris chose him as vice president should never be taken seriously ever again. The Biden administration is claiming that FEMA does not have enough funding to provide relief throughout the hurricane season.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do. We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
Americans do realize we're the richest country in the world, right? Hurricane Helene was absolutely devastating as it wiped out entire cities and left families homeless and bankrupt. Meanwhile, the Biden administration are pretending that their hands are tied because they simply don't have the resources to look after the American people. This is the same administration who spent over $100 billion arming Nazis in Ukraine to wage a forever war against Russia. This is the same country that sent $10 billion to the Indo-Pacific for their security and $1.5 billion to Taiwan. We are also fully funding Israeli genocides and subsidizing their free education and healthcare system. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris promised the people of Appalachia a mere $750.
The federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks
that they have to apply for on the internet as they lost access to the internet.
There are FEMA personnel who are going door to door to interact personally with folks, especially those who do not have electricity. But also that aid, if you have electricity, can be applied for online. And I encourage people to do that.
Tens of thousands of dollars worth of property damage, many losing their homes and having nothing to their name. But Kamala Harris is going to give them $750. This is what a failed state looks like. But I'm sure the people of Appalachia are at least relieved that we are spending the money on important things like fighting the Palestinian resistance, fighting Russia and preparing for a war with China.
I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. I hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel.
This is exactly what anti-imperialists were warning the American people about for decades, that we can't ignore the American empire because they will continue to siphon money away from our communities.
What's poppin'? My friends, my family, I am back. We are back. Nick at noon, Nick at 8 at any time. It's been a while since I did one of these Saturday shows. What's poppin', my friends? There has been a lot going on. I have a banger week for you guys next week, bro. Unfortunately, on Monday, it's going to be one of the most insufferable days probably in my lifetime. I never imagined that there would be a day that would be more cringeworthy than October 7th. The day that the West is melting down because it was among... I gotta be careful because I'm on YouTube. I need to start streaming on Rumble. But it was an extremely successful day for the resistance. You have BRICS that is looking to invite Palestine. You have Syria join BRICS as well. You have Palestine being recognized as a nation by countries who was going along with the Israeli project. That's huge. The support for the resistance is stronger than ever. Obviously, when you are going up against an imperial machine like the Zionist entity, they are very deadly, and it will result in mass amount of people losing their life. But October 7th was an amazing act of resistance that embarrassed Israel and was such a threat to the Zionist regime that Israel had to reply by committing a genocide. Now Israel's screwed, bro. Like, when you hear these people saying Israel is fighting for their existence, they usually always say that, but this is the first time where it's actually starting to ring true, because we have settlers that are fleeing Israel en masse. October 7th forced the Israeli economy to go in a tailspin. I saw a left-wing member of the Knesset was making an argument. I don't have the video, where it was saying that war with southern Lebanon may help Israeli businesses. This is how desperate they are, because imagine you lost a large percentage of your 20-year-old buying populace, many reserves being called up, many businesses shutting down. Now you have boycotts that are becoming so devastating for Israel that a lot of these Israeli companies are starting to remove the From Israel tag, because not only are they taking a big hit because they don't have the settlers to contribute to the economy, you also have mass boycotts around the world. BDS was already hurting Israeli businesses, but now it's like times 10, bro. Everyone's all in. Israel is going bankrupt. Their soldiers are getting wrecked. And now they are planning to attack Iranian nuclear facilities, and they're planning on dragging the United States into global war. But we will cover that here very soon. Let me get back to the original topic of the day. What's popping, my friends? I see you guys in the chat. Boy, the chat's going. You already know it's another banger. You already know. They bring the bangers. Savvy bring the mash. Savvy's on fire, bro. Like, Savvy is killing the game. Banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. You already know. But if I had a CNN show, unlike that sellout Sam Cedar, Sam Cedar got an MSNBC show, and he used his time to push Russiagate. That's the kind of shit they did with their corporate media time. Bro, if I had a CNN, MSNBC show, I'm like, guys, don't worry. Trust me, I did not sell out. I would do a 1 hour show about the history of the CIA, the history of the Zionist entity. I will have a program about the Nakba. You know how we have Palestinian roundtables? I'll have the most quote unquote radical Palestinian resistance guests that we ever had. I'll put them on the round table and we'll get canceled. We'll get pulled within 30 minutes if I had a CNN show. On CNN and MSNBC, they was bragging about this endorsement, the endorsement by Liz Cheney. And as I put here in my tweet, because I can't play the video because our video will get fucked up because it's got Taylor Swift on there. You have Taylor Swift supporting neocons. There's not more outrage about that. America is such a cringe culture. Gotta be careful because if the fucking what they call the Taylor Swift fans, the Swifties, if they go after RB and it's over, fam. Celebrity culture is cringe. It's definitely a mental illness. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. It's definitely a mental illness. Yeah, Taylor Swift supporting genocide. I saw Magic Johnson, bro. You know how much that daggered me as someone who played point guard, as someone who looked up to Showtime and the Lakers in the 80s. Got Magic Johnson. He's a shit lib. The entire black capitalist bourgeoisie class shit libs. Anyway, they are supporting Kyle Kalinske, Cenk Uygur, Sam Cedar, the Vanguard, who I told you guys, what I say? I feel so vindicated. I told you guys that the Vanguard will turn when there was probably Marianne Williamson, when they probably John Ferriman, they was pretending to be socialists. They was pretending to be anti-imperialist fighters. And I told you guys, and people thought I was just talking shit. I told you guys before the election, I promise you the Vanguard will turn into ordinary Democrat Party voters. And that's exactly what happened. They got essentially a vote blue no matter who channel now. That's what all these people did. They are supporting a far-right genocidal party. You gotta see the clip. Once again, I can't play it because of the video. Liz Cheney endorsing Kamala Harris. And this is very, very telling because imagine you're losing your base because you're committing and you're facilitating a genocide. I have receipts. We may have time to get to them today where it was revealed by internal emails that the Biden administration knew that Israel was planning mass slaughter, that the Biden administration knew that they was planning on blocking aid. So imagine you administration facilitating genocide. You're a voter base trying to shame the left into supporting a group that's supporting genocide. And then in response to massive backlash due to your foreign policy, your response is to bring on Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney. And the reason why this is extremely problematic is because Liz Cheney, despite what many people may think, and I may be in the minority saying this, despite what a lot of people think, Liz Cheney is not opposed to Trump because she has Trump derangement syndrome. I'm just trying to explain what I mean. And this headline kind of spoils it. Liz Cheney opposes Trump because of her perceived ideological differences with Trump. She views him as an isolationist. So she's not one of these people, and she's like messaging for the liberals, but she's not one of those people like, I'm guys say about democracy. She is open about the fact, about the reason why she supports Kamala Harris is because of Kamala's support for never-ending war. Kamala Harris, every single speech, every single time she discusses foreign policy, she has one key message, and that is, no matter what, I will never, ever pursue peace with our enemies. That is the message of Kamala Harris. She calls Trump weak on Putin for appeasing Putin. She accused him of appeasing Iran. People bring up a lot of gotcha tweets at Liz saying, oh my God, look at Liz bashing Kamala Harris in 2020, back when Kamala tried to go the Bernie route. But now Kamala, being a puppet on the strings, want to do whatever it takes to achieve power, which shows how she is the most dangerous kind of person to give that kind of power to. Someone who can flip their ideology just like that. But it's very open that it's very clear. The Democrats are quite open about the fact that their strategy moving forward is to shift the Democratic Party far to the right and disenfranchise the left. They realized, and they have for quite a long time, to be honest, they realized that the ideological differences between an RBN and a Sam Cedar is as wide as the ocean. As vast as the oceans is the difference between me and a Weasley, Bernie Sanders social democrat. And they are realizing that our numbers are starting to grow and they are not able to sheep herd people who are actually on the left into the Democratic Party no more. So their strategy is to disenfranchise the left, to not appease them, not give them anything. In fact, double down hard on imperialism. Look at this headline here. Kamala Harris joins Liz Cheney at the birthplace of GOP, says 2024 election is about Ukraine. Now, if you was to dive into her interviews, Liz Cheney often gaffes all the time, because don't get me wrong, she will say stuff like, I want to defend democracy and all this stuff for the liberals. But then as the interviewers and as her press events go longer, it eventually is revealed the true reason why she supports Kamala Harris. She will say stuff like Trump is an isolationist and he would end support for Ukraine. And Kamala Harris will support Ukraine till the end. Kamala Harris will support Israel. She never leads with it, guys, but at the end of the day, that is the reason why Dick Cheney and his daughters supporting Kamala Harris. The Cheneys didn't move to the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party moved to the Cheneys. Dick Cheney is still a dissident, was a dissident in support regarding the United States dropping their support of torture. He still supported waterboarding. I'm going to find that receipt where he was speaking passionately about why we need to do enhanced interrogation, aka waterboarding. He's still an advocate of it. And you know what happened? Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party dropped their opposition to torture on their DNC platform. Kamala will win, Nick. Democrats are effective at getting biracial black people elected, and the Trump campaign strategy, clownery and buffoonery. I can see that. It's hard to predict electoral politics. It's a race to the bottom. I can't tell who's going to win because you got Trump, who can't help but suck Israeli cock every 30 minutes. He said he wanted Israel to bomb Iranian nuclear facilities. And there are people in his base that's getting pissed off, man. And Trump is washed. Like, Trump is completely washed. He's not the same candidate in 2016. In 2016, his focus was the corruption of the Hillary Clinton Foundation, the trade deals, and calling out the Iraq war and the swamp. He went from running as a somewhat, I think he was a fake populist, but he was running as a fake populist in 2016. And then he dropped Steve Bannon. And in 2020, he ran like a Reaganite. He went from calling out Hillary Clinton's corruption to pretending that Joe Biden was some sort of secret Bernie Sanders. He called Kamala Harris a Marxist. That was not his strategy in 2016. He was not calling Hillary Clinton some sort of fucking Marxist. He was calling her corrupt. He was calling out the corruption of the Hillary Clinton campaign. So people don't even realize that Trump has been washed for a very long time now. I never understood how people were impressed by him. And I believe, especially in hindsight, looking at how washed he is, how much of an Israeli cuck he is, how much he ran away from populism, how much he sold out his people, but the people are so obsessed with celebrity worship, which is the scourge of the working class. Many people don't even realize how cooked Trump is. So I can see Kamala winning because of that. But I also can see Trump winning because Kamala is trash too. It's a race to the bottom. The goal of the United States is to disenfranchise the intelligent working class, to disenfranchise people who actually advocate for peace in their material conditions. They like, if you want to support us, that's great, and you're kind of a dumbass if you do vote for us. But it's a race at the bottom, and at the end of the day, our job doesn't change. Thank you for the comment. We got a member, Luca Clemente. Your hotspots have been fire. Absolutely, I appreciate that. Hotspot has definitely made me better at the commentary. I'm definitely enjoying the work we're doing at Hotspot. This is Trump's reaction to Liz Cheney. I saw this. This is funny because Trump high key cooks Liz Cheney.
The campaign trail today with Liz Cheney. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Liz Cheney lost for Congress. She was terrible. Liz Cheney is a stupid war hawk. All she wants to do is shoot missiles at people. I really think it hurt.
So I think that's the second hottest diss track of the year. I think Jill Stein's and Butch Ware's response to AOC will be number one. I said it at the time. That was the hottest diss track of the year when Dr. Jill Stein roasted AOC Pelosi. That was trending. This is the number two, I think. This is one of the best political diss tracks of the year. Liz Cheney, they did all this big press conference. Her entire career is based on attacking Trump. It's so desperate. Meanwhile, in 20 seconds, Trump just fucking ended her entire career.
The campaign trail today with Liz Cheney. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Liz Cheney lost for Congress. She was terrible. Liz Cheney is a stupid war hawk. All she wants to do is shoot missiles at people. I really think it hurts. I think, frankly, if Kamala, I think they hurt each other. I think they're so bad, both of them.
The campaign.
Bro, Trump fucking cooked her. And I saw multiple segments covering this. I wish I can dig through my YouTube history. I wish I can find one of them and show you guys. One of the MSNBC segments, they're like, Trump fired back at Liz Cheney. And they cut the part where he says she like firing missiles at people because they knew Trump fucking cooked her ass. Now, don't get me wrong. You guys know how I feel about Trump. I don't feel like I have to apologize to you guys because you guys know how I feel. I can praise Trump sometimes because you guys know I'm not on this fucking side. Because I'm going to show you guys how Trump is also a hypocrite on this because he's calling for World War III. He wants Americans to die on behalf of Israel. So you guys know I'm not a Trumper, so I don't have to apologize for enjoying Trump, unfortunately, being funny as fuck sometimes. But he's a hypocrite. But they all are. Now, I'm going to get to one of our main segments. That was more of just a warm-up segment, kind of a segment I threw together last second, to be honest. Let's get to our main story of the day, and I've been following this throughout the week. I was taking a little bit of a break. That's why I only did one stream this week. I apologize for that. I had to focus on some things in my personal life. You know what I mean? I'm trying to focus back on my martial arts, my boxing. I'm trying to get my jiu-jitsu black belt as well. But I'm having the damnest time finding a good jiu-jitsu school. I might have to move, man. I'm thinking about going to Brazil. I'm dead serious. I'm thinking about going to Brazil because I want to get my Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. And there are no good fucking schools here, man. I trained with fucking ninja. I'm trained with high-level black belts back in the day. I can't train with like these ordinary people. Anyway, look, I digress. That's what I've been focused on this week. Next week, I have a banger for you guys. But I had to go live and do the Saturday show because Israel is planning a war, and they've been pushing with war with Iran. They have a war on 3 fronts right now. They got a war. Actually, they bomb in 4 different countries: Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, Iran. Let me look up the population because I want to make sure I get this right. Let's look up Israel population, 9.5 million. Iran population, 88 million. I'm glad I looked that up. Look, Israel is 9 million. Iran is 88.5 million. Israel is getting their ass beat by Hezbollah. They're being crippled by Ansar Allah and Yemen. So my question, and a question that the corporate media is refusing to talk about, is how the hell is Israel going to wage a war and defeat Iran? 9 million versus 88 million. And ballistic hypersonic missiles on Iran's side. Terrain advantage on Iran. Multiple Iranian allies. They're not proxies, they're allies that are ready to activate. You have Russia that's providing anti-air defense systems to Iran. One of the many stories I may cover with Ozzy Krusak on Monday. So I really need you guys to ask yourself this question. How the fuck is Israel going to fight Iran? No one in the corporate media is discussing this. And it is quite obvious what their plan is. They want America to fight Iran. Now, it is our patriotic duty, the duty to our communities, to prevent our friends and families from fighting and dying for Israel. Why the hell would you join the United States military when you know that the plan they have for you is for you to fight and die on behalf of Israel? This is why we must push back against troop and soldier worship, which infected the minds of people in the West. Even people are peace. Oh, God bless the troops. Fuck the troops. You know what you signed up for. We all are going through economic problems. And what people who are class conscious, what we do is we organize along class lines to improve the quality of our life. What sellouts do is they join the imperial machine in order to take a shortcut. They take a shortcut, so they sell out the global working class. Oh yeah, I know it hurts, but tell me where I'm wrong. The peace movement has failed because the peace movement has also got caught up in military soldier cult worship. We need to start shaming these motherfuckers who fight and die for Israeli wars, who commit war crimes in our name. And if you're a parent and you send your child off to die for Israel, I'm not gonna feel bad for you when your child died. Not only you failed as a parent, you're high key scum to allow your children to fight and die in Israeli wars. And they're very open about the fact that, yeah, we're going to need the United States assistance on doing this. Here's the headline, and I'm going to show you guys just one of the many of the propaganda segments I've seen. They called Anderson Cooper up. They have Anderson Cooper and Dana Bass. They're the point men of Zionist propaganda. Israeli military preparing for major attacks on Iran, Lebanon, and Gaza. The Israeli military is preparing for large-scale assaults on multiple fronts, according to its public broadcaster, Khan, and other Israeli media. The army is aiming for a significant and difficult attack on Iran in response to its launch of ballistic missiles on Israel, which had come in retaliation for the assassination of top Iranian, Lebanese, and Palestinian officials. And despite the meltdown that we've seen in the most propagandized country that we've ever seen in human history, the United States and the UK, whenever people say the UK may be more propagandized than the United States, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I say the United States, but the UK is 1B. The United States and the UK, they keep pretending that Iran has no right to do what it has done. They pretend that Iran just decided to launch missiles, engage in war with Israel without any, pretty much just they flipped out, lost their mind, and decided to engage in war with Israel. Despite all the aggressions that Israel has launched toward Iran, that aside, you guys understand that Iran launching ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles into Israel is the least that they can do. According to the Geneva Conventions, the genocide conventions, they mention how states have the obligation to get involved when another country is committing a genocide. When you're committing a genocide against another country, when you invade another country, members of the Genocide Geneva Conventions are obligated to get involved. This is something that you will never hear on corporate and Western media. So when you see Hezbollah firing their little shitty rockets that are not meant to do damage into Israel, when you see Israel engaged in a blockade, when you see Iran finally retaliate, that is them being in compliance with international law. Everyone in establishment corporate media is deeply unserious because they don't even quote international law. They abide by the rules-based order, which can't be described as anything else other than fascism. The ruling class are above the law. The international law, collective punishment, use of starvation as a tool of war, bombing civilians. Who gives a fuck? We are the ruling class. You guys are the peasants. We are the chosen people, and the laws don't apply to us. This is textbook fascism. This is shit that is made up in fiction. It's like the celestial dragons in One Piece. It seems like it's unrealistic. Like these evil ruling class motherfuckers who say fuck the law. We will murder anyone we want. We will imprison anyone we want, and the law doesn't apply to us. This shit that we see in fiction is reality. It's the United States and the Zionist entity. Now I'm gonna show you guys this while we still have time. I see so many segments. I want to show so much to you guys because the propaganda we're being hit with is unbelievable. We are having, quote unquote, according to mainstream political thought in the West, left liberal outlets. They say CNN and MSNBC is on the left. This is what the dummies on the right believe. The dummies in MAGA, they truly believe that Anderson Cooper is like some sort of socialist. This is what the mainstream white American culture really believes. But you had Anderson Cooper, Dana Bash, and these point people for the Israeli propagandists that has been running pro-genocide and pro-terrorist propaganda over the last week. And I'm just summing up shit I haven't seen. I've seen countless of these segments, studying these motherfuckers. I've been in the lab cooking, my friends, studying these motherfuckers. And they have been apologizing for the pager attack, on attacks on civilians, on Lebanon, using starvation as a tool of war. They apologize for everything, every step of the way. And meanwhile, Anderson Cooper has the nerve to say that we are anti-Semitic for calling out Dana Bash and himself and Wolf Blitzer for doing pro-genocide propaganda. They said we are anti-Semitic for this. Well, you will not find any more unhinged coverage than CNN. So I apologize, but I have to show you guys. Because this is as crazy as it gets. This is Anderson Cooper and some motherfucker, who cares, just casually talking about why we should go to war with Iran, discussing Israel committing terrorism, just normalizing it. So let's get into the video. There are going to be a lot to break down.
Anticipation building for how and when Israel may retaliate for Iran's missile attack this week. Top U.S. State Department official tells CNN Israel has given no assurances that targeting Iran facilities is off the table. President Biden today said Israel was, quote, not going to make a decision immediately. He also said that Israel shouldn't strike Iran's oil fields either. In 3 days, Israel and the world will mark 1 year since the October 7th terror attack. The Same State Department source says it is, quote, really hard.
October 7th is about to be oh my God, that is about to be the worst day of all fucking time. Anyway, let's continue. Jesus Christ.
To tell if Israel will use that day to retaliate for the missile attack. Joined now by former Defense Secretary Mark Esper. Secretary Esper, what form do you think Israel's retaliation against Iran will take? I mean, they had a sort of symbolic strike the last time in April to respond to the Iranian attack. Then, what do you expect now?
Yeah, well, first of all, good evening, Anderson. Look, it'll be a significant strike, and the first question will be: is what do they want to achieve? If they want to go after regime change, then I think they'll go into Tehran and they'll go after the Ayatollah Khamenei, they'll go after President Pezeshkian, and they'll go after the IRGC. And then on top of that, they'd want to knock out all the command and control communications that whatever survives that would be able to communicate with the rest of the regime.
How are they going to do this, sir? How are they accomplishing this? They are only accomplishing this with the help of the United States. So this is CNN just casually bringing up Israel starting a regional war and saying, oh, this is what they have to do. And they're going to continue to apologize for rank Zionist aggression.
If they want to go after military capabilities, then you would look at strategic assets like the nuclear sites that are just south of Tehran and places like Fordo and Iraq and stuff like that. The danger, of course, is that you have to go deep into the territory and you may lose a pilot. Same thing as if you go up north to Tehran. The other challenge, by the way, with going after regime change, the downside is you risk civilian casualties. And what you don't want to do is to have the Iranian people rally around that regime, particularly since it's so fragile right now and they are really not happy with the Iranian regime.
You know how you do that? They already accomplished that. Israel rallied the resistance like I've never seen in my entire life because of their assassinations of Hamas leaders on Iranian soil. They already rallied the people around Iran, and Iran is as strong as a regional power as it's been because of Israeli aggression. But anyway, let's continue.
The other set of military targets would be, of course, ballistic missile production sites, storage sites, drone production sites, things like that. I think.
And look at them pretending that the Israeli regime targets complex military strategic targets. So Israel and the Western media is pretending that Iran has been ineffective against Israel because they haven't been targeting civilians. They view targeting civilians as a win. So look at this segment where they're pretending that Israel, no, they're not going after any military installations. Their strategy is terrorism. Their strategy is to murder civilians. That's why they murdered 1,000 people in Lebanon. And then they're telling the Lebanese people that the reason that we are murdering you is because of Hezbollah and your support for Hezbollah. That is Israel engaging in collective punishment and murdering civilians as a way to achieve their geopolitical end. It is terrorism. And that is the ideology that white America supports, that these clowns support. You guys know how many segments I watched over this week of these white supremacist assholes on MSNBC, Fox, CNN, across the spectrum, across the ideological spectrum. They're white America just nodding their head and agreeing with Israeli terrorism. They had a rally, like some rage against the establishment rally. And the only person who called out Israel was Jimmy Dore. He was the only one. You had Matt Taibbi, Russell Brand, all these cucks. We're going to rage against the establishment, not calling out the terrorist and the Zionist entity. RFK Jr. was there, not calling out the terrorist and the Zionist entity. Because they support terrorism and colonialism. When can we be real about what's really happening? The reason why a majority of white Americans and people who sell out to the establishment support this, because they have to support colonialism and terrorism, because that's the only way they can spread their ideology and win these battles. Because Israel can't fight for shit. Maybe let's continue this. I still got a lot to cover here.
We'll take out air defense regardless. That'll be the way by which they clear the path. But I think the third big group of targeting, Anderson, are economic targets. We've talked about the 12 to 14 facilities involved in oil refining and manufacturing and distribution, and some are right there on the Gulf Coast. So
and those are easier to
targets
hit
with much less risk.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
those are easier to hit.
Look, those are easy to hit. Come on, talk dirty to me. We're gonna do war. We can hit them, right? Bro, the amount of war porn I have seen on corporate media this last week, bro, is depressing. That's another reason I want to go to Brazil, learn jiu-jitsu. Dude, this fucking shit sucks, man. It sucks that people is not furious as RBN. That people are not as fierce as I am. How can people witness this apologia for terrorism and not be as pissed as RBN? What's popping, my brother James? Look at my man looking sexy as hell. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is about to be a powerful show. What's popping, my brother James?
I saw you live and I was just like, I just want to be in here just to smell Nick cooking. That's all.
We in the lab cooking today, brother. This is going to be one of those shows. And this segment actually gets worse, believe it or not. Well, I've been talking about over the last, we 40 minutes in already, bro. I told you, I'll just be ranting, bro. Over the last, 20 minutes is how the Western media, our culture is apologizing for Israeli terrorism. As they call people who resist the United States empire, they call them dissidents. They call people who are fighting for their freedom and liberty, like Hamas, people who are resisting the Zionist entity committing genocide. They call them terrorists, as they are rank apologizing for political assassinations and rank war crimes. So, James, before I continue, I know you probably were listening for at least a little bit. I want to get your take on what we've been showing and the apologia we have been seeing for Zionist terrorism. James, what are your thoughts before we move on?
As far as the apologia, that really just a lot of these Western-backed media pundits will talk about state media in other countries, like, oh my God, they got state media. They're carrying the narrative of the state. What is this? That's my question. Because as far as it looks like to me, somebody like Anderson Cooper or somebody like a David Muir, or even any one of these people who are in corporate media, really they are the State Department stenographers for which is owned by the corporate powers that be. So it's like that's the chamber pot calling the toilet white. You just cannot sit here and say, oh well, they're repeating the same narrative of their country, and it's like, well, wait a minute, you guys are repeating the same thing that the State Department, Tony Blinken, is telling you, right? And you guys are doing it in a pro-war narrative versus other countries, for instance, like a China. They're doing it, they're not imperialist. They're not. How many, bases do they have around the world right now, right? How many imperialist projects are they doing around the world? Because the thing is, like, if they're just talking about just economic development and assisting African countries, I don't see anything imperialist about that. They don't have their troops over there. And yet we have our troops in multiple countries doing all these things. And yet you got somebody like Anderson Cooper speaking about it. I mean, honestly, of course he's going to back up the Zionist narrative, because Israel is literally it's a military base in the Middle East. That's all it really is. That's what Israel is, a military base. And this is why the citizens, the Israelis, are forced into military conscription, because if you are born there or if you go there, you agree to be a soldier for the United States with an Israeli patch. That's what it is. Israeli IDF soldiers are really just American soldiers. That's all they really are. Is when people go, oh, but Israel has a right to exist. I think somebody said yesterday, that's like saying, does China have a right to exist? Does Russia have a right to exist? Does Cuba have a right to exist? These countries have existed in time immemorial. It doesn't really matter. What matters is what you're doing to the indigenous population in the area, and are you, doing right by them? If you're not doing right by them, then you need to stop. That's really all it is. And so I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but
we just here cooking. I mean, this is a Saturday chill stream. I'm planning on chilling. Now we got JV here. That's how you know this is gonna be a banger. Now we got my dear brother with me. Let's continue here. These talking heads. Speaking of what you talking about, you gotta know, like in China, and their media would criticize their government if they had like failed policies. You guys know that, right? Like they have a productive dialogue on how to be successful on how they build in their society. Meanwhile, in the United States, we spend more resources. We spend trillions of dollars in Afghanistan to replace the Taliban with the Taliban. As we was doing that, China was building high-speed rail. So China and their people, they have a lot to celebrate. I admire what they accomplished. In the West, people are guilt. They've been made to feel guilty for admiring what other countries do because they're so trained to think that governments are inherently corrupt. When you look at what China has accomplished, it's nothing short of amazing. They rein in their landlords. Rent is only about $500 a month. Even expensive cities get to like $700 at best. If you live in like a rural area, you spend like $300 because they got regulation on landlords. They're only allowed to own like 2 properties, not allowed to make profit on it. Some provinces is tightly regulated. I looked into this. So they rein in landlords. People got free health care. People brought out poverty. They have a complex public transportation system and the most beautiful architecture we've ever seen. Meanwhile, we're not supposed to praise them. So for some reason, we both feel bad. And I looked into this. I thought you guys see how many people I have for China on. I'm not apologizing for it no more. China is not perfect, but they are showing us a great route on how to achieve socialism in the modern age of imperialism and capitalism. It's not perfect, but it's a great path, and they are and they're very open about it. They're very open about the fact that they continue to improve and continue. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. JB, anything you want to add before we get back on topic?
No, I mean, look, like you said, China's not perfect, but the thing is, they're definitely way far and ahead, better than the United States. I'd say that much.
Yeah, let's continue the video.
Much easier with less risk to Israeli pilots.
The idea of just in terms of Israel's capabilities with the war in Gaza, the situation happening in Lebanon and Iran, I mean, are they capable of maintaining a kinetic situation like that?
This is why I'm showing this segment. I watched countless of these. I'm fucking sick in the head, guys. Because I was trying to study how our establishment explained the situation. This is one of the few segments I have seen where they actually bring this up. On Fox News, you watch any segment about Israel Iran, they're like, oh man, Israel about to fuck them up. But Israel should have had to listen to the United States. The United States, Israel should go all out and fuck them all up. How? Is anyone going to have a conversation about how Israel is going to win a war against 4 fucking armies? They can't be Hezbollah alone. But they're going to defeat Iran, Hamas, Ansarullah, Hezbollah. Get real. So Anderson Cooper doing the bare minimum. I don't want to praise him because I'm not going to praise the fucking I'm gonna be nice, but I'm not gonna praise like the shortest, the dumbest among them, because he wasn't the only people that like, man, how is Israel gonna actually win this battle? And listen to the response, because this is the most treasonous shit you will ever hear, and they just say casually that, oh yeah, we're gonna fight the war for them. So let me play the question again, and this is the reason why I want to show you guys this segment. Listen to this outrageous shit we are hearing. If you're in the military, you need to get the fuck out. You need to convince your friends and family that you need to get the hell out of the military. There is no honor, and I don't care if people get mad at me, there is no honor fighting and dying for the Zionist entity. Fuck soldier worship. It is poisoned the minds of the people in our society. Get the fuck dying and fighting for the Zionist entity is not honorable. So let's listen to this part right here. It's very telling about the future plans of our deep state and the Israeli Zionists to have Americans fight and die for their aspirations to achieve a greater Israel.
The war in Gaza, the situation happening in Lebanon and Iran, I mean, are they capable of maintaining a kinetic situation like that?
I suspect they are, and certainly with the United States' help. And
there it is. I suspect they are. Didn't he realize that he said something that's completely pants on fire? And you can kind of even tell when his brain catches himself. Like, I think Israel can. Oh, actually, with the help of the United States. What help? You mean the thousands and thousands of military personnel we sent to help fight and die for Israel already? Remember, all this stuff is happening under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, James. Did they say the goal of the Biden administration is to prevent a regional war, as they're supporting regime change in Lebanon, supporting aggression against Iran, and sending United States soldiers into the region? Have you guys understand how insane I've been, how insane I've become over the last few weeks watching this propaganda? I'm showing you guys probably the best among it. Watch Fox News, bro. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. I watch a lot of propaganda. Fox News is crazier than I've ever seen right now. They're outright cheering for nonstop war with Iran, Lebanon, Yemen. They're like, why are we not invading fucking China for Taiwan too? They want the entire world to go into war. And ask yourself, why is white America so obsessed with this war and doom? Why are we not allowed to ask these questions? What is this obsession with war and destroying the planet for another World War fucking III? James, I think I saw you want. James, feel free. I'm just ranting. Did you want to respond?
Yeah.
They're just a red stream, by the way.
Well, those of you who have family that are going into the military, especially those of you who are black and brown, do you want your kids to go abroad? And those of you who are young, do you want to go abroad to help exterminate other black and brown people so that these majority European people can take their land by force and destroy their lives even further? Are you prepared? Are you morally prepared to do that? You can say, oh, this group is a terrorist, that group's a terrorist, blah, blah, blah. You can say that. And that is being said throughout media all the time. But the question is, have you ever asked yourself why these groups are doing what they're doing? Because here's the crazy part. Some of y'all don't realize. Some of the people who are resistance fighters are not even Muslim. Some of the Palestinian resistance fighters are secular. Some of them maybe even atheists. Some of them are Jewish. Some of them are Christian. So if that's the case, some of them are Jewish. Some of them who are resisting have nothing to do with, they have no religious affiliation. By the way, this conflict, because it's not a war, because a war would mean there's two equally opposing sides, then that means that, gosh, this is just a war of top versus bottom. I'm gonna be honest with you. The war that's going on right now, not the war, but the massacre that's going on in Gaza right now, that is literally class war. That's what that is. You have the people at the bottom, the Palestinians, versus the people at the top. And even the Palestinians, the Arabs that are in Israel, it's a two-tier society, baby.
Yep.
You have Jim Crow in the Middle East. Jim Crow in the Middle East, and that's exactly what it is. What did we do with Jim Crow here? We ended it, didn't we? Kind of. Gotta put that, that asterisk in there. But we kind of got it here. We're still working on getting the rest of it out. But the thing is like, if we thought it was horrible here, then why don't we find the same thing reprehensible over there? And why is our government still holding up Jim Crow and other parts of the world? Does that tell you something about your government? Oh, by the way, I want you guys to go ahead and Google Operation Paperclip. That tells you everything you need to know about the United States government.
Yep, well said.
Go ahead and look that up. Because then that'll tell you everything you need to know. Because if they're willing to do Operation Paperclip and support the Zionist entity, it all connects. Click, connects.
Our brother James in the lab cooking. I'm gonna read the super chat and then I'm gonna continue with the segment. Thank you for the $5 Chima. If you talk about how highly advanced Chinese and Russian cities are, white Americans will insult you and tell you those cities are fake and low quality. That's what they say about North Korea, guys. They say, "Oh, well, if you go to Pyongyang, and it may seem better than I know we told you that everyone in North Korea is starving and their cities in ruin, but they actually set up fake cities, guys. They set up fake cities to trick people.
They have to push the trains with their hands. They don't even have operating trains.
If that what people literally believe.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to the segment. They accuse them exactly what the West do. They accuse North Korea of engaging in tourism. So when people go and visit California, when they go to LA, you know how they go to Hollywood? They go to Hollywood, they don't go to Skid Row. So the same thing they accuse China and Russia. They're like, well, actually what China and Russia does, they hide all the bad stuff when people go, but so you can only see one side of their country. You mean tourism? Like when people go to a country, they go to the good parts, not the bad parts. You want to know who have more bad parts? The United States. Show me a Skid Row in China. Show me the Skid Row in Russia. Anyway, let's get back on topic. I still got a little bit to cover, so we can rant on this all day. Let's get back to this. Remember, just to get us back in the frame, I'm going to go back a little bit. Anderson Cooper asked him the question that a surprising amount of news segments are not talking about. How exactly is Israel going to win this war with Iran? I showed you guys how Iran has 88 million people, Israel 9 million people. And guess who's more motivated to fight? You have settlers fucking fleeing. Israel is a casualty averse state. Whenever their military people die, it's a big deal, guys. It's not like America where they're like, oh, soldiers die, fuck them. They actually fucking really mourn when their soldiers die, and they getting wrecked right now. You have people fleeing the country because they don't really call it up, bro. It's bad. The corporate media not covering this, but trust me, it's bad. But anyway, I'll shut up. Sorry, guys. Let's get back into it.
I mean, just in terms of Israel's capabilities with the war in Gaza, the situation happening in Lebanon and Iran. I mean, are they capable of maintaining a kinetic situation like that?
I suspect they are, and certainly with the United States' help, and because we would need to be there to support them in different ways. Of course, the production of the...
We got to support them in different ways. What do you mean? Sending thousands of troops there? And once again, how are they going to fight Iran? So you see, they being perfect. Oh, we got to help them with some things. What some fucking things? You mean fight and die? Anyway, let's continue because you see the delusion here. They are forced to acknowledge that Israel is getting the conflicts, knowing that we're gonna fight for them. And if you allow yourself to fight and die for these fucking wars, you are a sucker. You're a sucker. Any American that go over there, actually no, I said this on Twitter. I'm not gonna say on YouTube. I won't get myself in trouble. But let's just say I don't really care about their fate. So that's the censored version of what I'm about to say.
United States help, and because we would need to be there to support them in different ways. Of course, the production of the munitions and other means would be critical, and in some, depending on the operation, there are some things they need our assistance on. But I believe they will. I suppose they've been preparing this for a long time.
sending funds, munitions, some other things, guys. I'll just play a little bit more of this and we move on, because that's the part I really want to highlight. They just openly on CNN saying, hey, oh yeah, we're gonna send your kids to die for Israel, just casually.
Depending on the operation, there are some things they need our assistance on, but I believe they will. I suppose they've been preparing this for a long time. And look, this is quite a change in the strategic situation. We haven't seen this ever, really. By the simple fact that Hamas is now on its knees, it's nearly decimated. 22 of the 24 battalions have been knocked down, and most of its leadership. Hezbollah is on the ropes with all of its leadership gone, and that was really always the counter.
Hezbollah is on the ropes. Now, don't get me wrong. Hezbollah they took it L. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But Israel invaded southern Lebanon. The Lebanese army retreated. Hezbollah took position, and then Hezbollah proceeded to wipe them the fuck out and force them to retreat. Does that sound like people who are on the ropes? I don't want to mislead you guys. Trust me, Hezbollah did take a giant L. They did take an L. Don't get it twisted. But they were not wiped out. This shit is not over, though. Let's continue.
Punch, the right hook that Iran had in its back pocket in case Israel ever attacked Iran, and now they're gone. So what does Iran have left to respond with if Israel hits back really hard? Another salvo of ballistic missiles.
The absolute delusion. Russia is providing anti-defense missiles. The world is going to be on Iran's side. Israel and the United States are going to get wiped the fuck out. They are already overextended fighting Russia and Ukraine. Now they got a war brewing with China. The Navy said they were preparing a war with China by 2027. They don't, guys, do you understand how crazy our ruling class is, James? They don't give a fuck that we are destined to lose. They just know the military industrial complex making money, the arms industry making money. They don't give a shit about the future of this. But anyway, I think we can move on. I actually want to hear one more thing. Let's see what I want to see what his follow-up is after this. Then we move on.
Is Hezbollah really gone? I mean, obviously
Oh yeah, I remember this part. This is when he puts back on him, because he said so much bullshit, James, and I'm mad. I kind of spoiled it. I should have let it play. He said so much bullshit. Even Anderson Cooper was like, the fuck? So I'm sorry I spoiled it, but let me play this in full because it's actually hilarious. This is after his rant talking about how Hezbollah was destroyed.
That Iran had in its back pocket in case Israel ever attacked Iran, and now they're gone. So what does Iran have left to respond with if Israel hits back really hard? Another salvo of ballistic missiles.
Is Hezbollah really gone? I mean, obviously I think that Israel has said that they've knocked out about half of the missile capabilities of Hezbollah. They've obviously decapitated the leadership, but in terms of fighters on the ground in the south, I went out in 2006 on an operation with the IDF in southern Lebanon, and it was really tough. I mean, once
he went on missions with the IDF. Anyway, let's continue. But does that show exactly why he's there? And this is him casually destroying his talking point, but I'll let it continue.
Exchanging rocket fire is one thing, knocking out rockets, but actually going on the ground in southern Lebanon, that's a very, very difficult theater.
Yeah, no, you're right, Anderson. I don't want to overstate it. I said they're on the ropes at this point in time. And we know that the command and control has been decimated. The leadership.
So there he is to me, like, yeah, Anderson, my bad. I kind of overstepped my bullshit. I did too much propaganda, I know. That was an amateur move. I tell you, there's levels to this propaganda. Anderson's like, whoa, pump the brakes there, bro. We're also here to warn the Israelis. Like, you guys understand that's another point of their propaganda. I talked about this before. The only time you see the corporate media put back against Israel is when they also kind of trying to warn Israel about making a bad move. You know what I mean? But this is him admitting that he was 100% wrong. But Israel, despite the fact that they lead us to do now, I'm gonna try to get through some receipts here quickly. Feel free to interrupt me, James. I'm already going a little bit long, but here Trump being a hypocrite, because remember, Trump called out Liz Cheney for being a war hawk, which was funny. Like, I told you guys that shit was a banger, but that doesn't mean he's not a fucking hypocrite, because the Biden administration, they are pretending to be against this. Meanwhile, the Trump wing is like, let's go to war with Iran. What the fuck? Let's send people to die for Israel. MAGA has completely lost their mind. Here's Trump.
What do you think about Iran? Would you hit Iran? And he goes, as long as they don't hit the nuclear stuff. That's the thing you want to hit, right? I said,
bro, he's about to. Donald Trump is about to destroy the dollar because I explained how he's advocating for policies that will only hurt the dollar, like sanctioning countries who join BRICS, and he's doing stuff that will hurt the dollar. Now he's about to destroy global energy prices. Guys, who do you think is going to be hurt by this? The global working class will be destroyed with a potential oil with Iran. Iraq has said that if Israel and the United States engage in a war with Iran, no more oil. That shit's done, bro. And this is Trump just casually advocating for not only World War III, but destroying the energy market. Meanwhile, you got idiots like Russell Brand that still pretend Donald Trump is anti-establishment. You got idiots that are still propping up this motherfucker as if he's not a fucking cuck for the Israeli regime.
Yeah. Maybe I might sound a little crazy here, but because of climate change, I kind of want the oil and fossil fuels to be destroyed, but I would rather it be done in a gradual way so that people's lives aren't ruined. But at the same time, it's like Donald Trump's kind of doing the job of destroying the climate crisis inadvertently. It's like he doesn't mean to, but he is. If he does destroy, the energy market, the oil markets, and things like that. I don't know. Do I sound a little crazy by saying it like that?
Yeah, I don't want to do anything that will hurt the global working class. When it comes to climate change, I want the ruling class to make all the sacrifices first before we make any of it. Because the military-industrial complex, they're the largest polluter. Billionaire fucks like Elon Musk and Taylor Swift, they alone, like Taylor Swift alone, in her private jet flights, is responsible for more emissions than the entirety of the American working class. So instead of us scaling back, we need to approach climate in terms of class warfare. But I understand what you were saying, James. I think it was funny point. But I think that's the position that we should have as Marxists. I don't want people to I don't think the working class should make any sacrifices on energy. None of that. None of that. No. We drinking plastic straws. We using energy. The ruling class must scale back because you guys don't understand. I try to remember the stats on top of my head. I believe it's something crazy like the top 1% of the world is responsible for like 90%. I got fact check myself to be clear because it's been a long time since I recited that. The top 1%.
It might have gotten worse.
Top 1%.
Yeah.
Admission. I'll just fact check myself. 25. I find this stat. I didn't find the exact stat I was saying on top of my head, but I found this one. The top 1% emits 25 times. 25 times. I did not just clicking in as I read this. 25 times as much carbon pollution as the bottom 50%. So fuck you. I'm using plastic straws. Fuck you. I'm using energy until you guys ruling the ruling class. And I feel like this is where, and maybe it was on purpose, this is where the liberal left lost the working class. Because you notice how the liberal class, they demand the workers to make sacrifices first. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's not get too much on a tangent. This is my general thoughts on it. This is what we was at. I'm gonna keep this to 9 minutes. I could just do the other segments on Monday. On Monday, I have Ozzy Cusack joining. Tuesday, Mark Kimberly is joining. Wednesday, I'm working on a time with Fiorella. She got time zone differences. So, and then Friday, Nico House, bro. So, bro, next week is about to be a goddamn banger, my friends. We got JV crashing the show today. So I guess this is technically a Nick and JV show now. So this is Trump declaring war. So I'm gonna try to get through the receipts a little bit faster because I actually got shit to do today as well. I haven't ate yet, so I need to fucking figure that out. So I'll play this clip in its entirety. This is Trump is going to be a disaster, guys. Like, Kamala winning is horrible because you don't want to give the Democrats a mandate toward genocide. That's why I explained I want Trump to win because I think it's good for the pendulum to swing back and forth. But Trump already talked about doing stuff that was going to destroy the dollar, fighting war for Israel. So don't listen to the numbskull fucks who keep pretending. That was the entire rally. Like I said earlier, Jimmy Dore was the only person who called out Israel during that fucking fake ass Rage Against the Machine rally that Russell Brand and RFK was having. And all of these people, it was like a glorified Trump rally, pretending that this guy is going to fight the establishment.
They asked him, what do you think about Iran? Would you hit Iran? And he goes, as long as they don't hit the nuclear stuff. That's the thing you want to hit, right? I said, I think he's got that one wrong. Isn't that the one you're supposed to hit? I mean, it's the biggest risk we have. Nuclear weapons, the power of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. You know, I rebuilt the entire military, jets, everything. I built it, including nuclear, and I hated to build the nuclear, but I got to know firsthand the power of that stuff. And I'll tell you what, we have to be totally prepared. We have to be absolutely prepared. But when they asked him that question, the answer should have been hit the nuclear first and worry about the rest later. And that's what they should. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. But we'll find out whatever their plans are. But great question. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin.
They cut the question out, but I can only imagine how unhinged the question actually was. That's a rally full of traitors. Zionism is my red line, man. It should 100% be our red line. I view them as Confederates. Like, they are Confederate level traitors, willing to send our soldiers to fight for Israel. The same MAGA bootlickers will call you a commie scum if you advocate for health care for the American people, but they support us subsidizing Israeli public health care. They support public health care for Israelis, James. So not for Americans can't have free health care, but the Israelis deserve it. That's MAGA. That's the capitalist class. That's what they believe. So this is Israel they're ignoring the public suggestion of the Biden administration, saying, "Oh, don't target Iran's nuclear facility." And Israel released a statement that, like, we about to target the fuck out of their nuclear facilities. And the Biden administration is going to go along with it because it's exactly the war that the Biden administration wanted. Now you have the Biden administration that is openly advocating for regime change in Lebanon. Now, this is a shorter story. I think I got time for two more of the stories I prepared. I hella over-prepared today. I was in the lab cooking, bro. I might have to say one of these segments for Monday. So this is, I'm going to try to get through this segment pretty fast. So James, feel free to chime in anytime. I'm just trying to get through a few of these receipts. This is a bombshell story that no one in the corporate media has been talking about. And this is why the people who are advocating and saying that the Biden and Harris administration has been sympathetic to Palestinians and how they're trying to rein in regional war, that's the biggest messaging coming from the liberal class. They're trying to pretend, they'll say stuff like, oh, the Biden administration has done a great job trying to ease the tensions in the region. The fuck are you talking about? How can you say the Biden administration has done a good job preventing regional war as we are literally in a regional war? Once again, that's just one of the many talking points I've heard in the segments I've been watching. Now it was revealed in this article that the Biden administration actually been lobbying for Israeli military incursion into Lebanon. And they are using this opportunity to enact regime change in Lebanon. So this war against Iran, the war against Lebanon, the genocide in Gaza, this was entirely planned by the Biden regime. This is the receipt. I'm going a little bit out of order. That's not the one I was looking for, but I'll still show you guys it. Biden administration knew about the genocide. Is this it? Here, yeah, this is one I was looking for. I got receipts on days. I reviewed 3 sets of internal email exchanges between the Biden administration officials who were warned just days after October 7th that Israel was risking committing war crimes by ordering more than 1 million Palestinians in northern Gaza to evacuate. And in this Twitter thread, he reveals, this was leaked, how the Biden administration 100% knew that the Israeli regime planned on killing Palestinians. But despite this, they still gave them 2,000-pound Buster Bunker bombs, armed them to the teeth, and continue to lie about blockades because it was revealed that Anthony Blinken lied. Because even the own Biden administration made reports showing that Israel was blocking aid. So you had the Biden administration responsible for a genocide, the likes that we've never seen. This is like one of the most evil administrations we have seen. They've been with Israel every step of the way. Meanwhile, Kyle Crystal, the vanguard, and progressives are still supporting this administration. The people who was grifting on Palestinian pain, they are openly supporting a pro-genocide administration that is advocating for regime change. And now you have these people, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the people that was on the Muslim for Harris shit. He one of those, oh, come on, guys, please give us a reason to vote for you. And we need to start calling people out because I've been witnessing these people for the last few months. What they are doing, they are more upset at Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party for not lying to the peace movement more effectively. They're not upset at Kamala Harris for enabling a genocide. Because my message is there's nothing that the Democratic Party could ever do ever again to earn the support of the peace movement. James, do you agree? There is nothing the Democratic Party can do because they already facilitated a genocide. What these people and what the uncommitted movement is saying, what they're saying is, yeah, we know you committed a genocide, but come on, give us a few message towards us, and we will forgive you for slaughtering the Palestinian people. Because this is another report. Sorry, James, I'm going through some receipts very quickly here. Because this is what the Biden and Harris administration is responsible for and what they knew was going to happen. I'm also going slightly out of order, but hopefully you guys enjoying this. Where I've been calling out people for weeks for engaging in genocide denial because even people who claim to support the Palestinian people kept repeating the 40,000 dead Palestinian number, the 30,000 dead Palestinian number that popped up in December. You got no pausing the death count is textbook genocide denial. It's been done in every single genocide. I know in Rwanda it was a big propaganda tool they used. They were in corporate media, they were just undercount. They no, there was not many people who died. To give the impression that the Israeli regime is scaling back. That's why the corporate media used 30,000 dead. Then they used 40,000 dead for months to give you the impression that Israel is doing better. That's why I would never understand why Democracy Now! And why many other people who actually do good coverage on Israel-Palestine will repeat the 30, 40,000 number. It was something that frustrated me from day one. Now we have people that was allowed to document. These are a collection of healthcare workers. They documented everything in Gaza. And they said that the death toll of this conflict is 118,000 people. 118,000 people. And they explain, I'm summing this up real quick for the sake of time. They explain that they're not even counting the people who are injured. They explain how there are people that are sick. They didn't get healthcare attention soon enough. This is a very detailed explanation about what's going on. Look, everyone in Gaza is sick, injured, or both. So what they're saying, everyone in Gaza is fucked right now. Even if people are not dead, they have lifelong ailments. This is what the Biden administration enabled. But the progressives, they're still saying stuff like, hey, Kamala, please say you support a ceasefire. Give us a reason to shame the left. They are upset because they're not giving a reason. The Kamala Harris administration and Democrats are not doing a good job giving them a reason to vote shame the peace movement. Because now look at this here. A new poll shows Arab American voters abandoning Kamala Harris in droves. But her campaign refuses to do the bare minimum to win them back. What's going on? What do you mean what's going on? What do you imply that she should do? I, for one, am actually pretty relieved and actually pleasantly surprised at how honest Kamala Harris is being about her position on Gaza. See, she essentially been telling the uncommitted movement in the Arab American community that, nigga, dude, I am not stopping the genocide. There's nothing I'm going to do to reign in Israel. And the uncommitted movement and the position of the progressives is, why aren't you lying to people more? Anyway, something that was very frustrating to me.
Mm-hmm.
James, anything you want to add on? I have one more quick segment I want to do. Then I'll wrap up. Anything you want to add, James? That was just me presenting. So, James, anything you want to add before I do my last segment of the day?
Yeah, them wanting Kamala Harris and the Democrats to reverse course is like the Jews during the Holocaust trying to get the Nazi Party to reverse course rhetorically on their elimination. Honestly, look, the Democratic Party is the ones who committed this genocide. They have done, they have funded it. So therefore, they are no different because, if you're paying for it, then you own it. So if you pay for it and you own it, then that means that the Democratic Party literally owns a Holocaust. Yep. Congratulations. You guys are on the same level as Nazis. So why in the world would we try to get any concessions out of people who are this evil? The thing is Abandon Harris actually has the right idea. Abandon. Really, to be honest with you, they should change their name to the Abandon Democrats. Because the reason being is because there will be the Democratic Party, as far as their moral standing, is finished. They're finished. They're done. And they're just as finished and done when it comes to marginalized people as the Republican Party. Because you got to remember, who killed 1 million Iraqis? W. So the thing is both of those parties, they have lit their credibility on fire when it comes to issues regarding Black and brown people. So this is why we talk about being post-duopoly, because they're literally committing genocide, holocausts, atrocities all over the world. And some people want to go, but just lie to me better. Come on. Have some self-respect.
Have some self-respect. Have some goddamn self-respect. Unrelated. This is Kim Jong-un being based as always. North Korea called the United States and Israel cancer-like threats to the Middle East.
Oh.
When you can't think this man can't get any more base, man. Now I want people to realize there's been a lot of awareness being raised about this guy. You got to realize that there's a reason why that you've been lied to about North Korea, right? Do you guys know that North Korea never recognized Israel as a state? They're one of the countries, and this is one of the criticisms I have of China and Russia. Mm-hmm. North Korea, they're like, no, we don't recognize those fucking colonizers, period.
Well.
Now do you know why you've been lied too much about North Korea? This is not my statement. I'm just showing you guys some shit I saw earlier. The unseen conflict. North Korea's discrete war with Israel. Now you guys see why you were told lies about this guy? Why you've been made to believe this man's a tyrant? Do you guys know that I just read another story about a South Korean dissident that fled to North Korea? You know how you're not allowed to hear those stories about the amount of people who flee North Korea and then come back? The amount of people who from South Korea who get life in prison, who get in prison because they flee to South Korea. You know, a country that got sky high amount of depression, their suicide rate is sky high. One of the worst countries when it comes to workers' rights is South Korea. They never cover these stories. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I saw this earlier. Once again, I'm going off on the tangent.
Isn't South Korea? I'm sorry. Isn't South Korea basically a U.S. outpost?
Yeah. They're the traitors. They're the great traitors who betrayed the Korean people. North Korea was about to win the war. They had the capital complete. It was over. The class traitors in South Korea was about to surrender, and then that's when the United States came in. The United States came in order to bail out South Korea, and they lost the war. Remember, they lost the war in Korea because the goal was to wipe out communism on the Korean Peninsula. They didn't do that. The fact that North Korea exists is shows how North Korea won the war. But what the United States did instead was murder 2 million Korean people. You guys realize they not only murdered 2 million Korean people, they used Korea as an experimental hotbed for military weapons. They engaged in chemical warfare against the North Korean people. You guys understand? They destroyed crops. They engaged in an eco-genocide of Korea because they was throwing a tantrum because they couldn't win. So after we murdered 2 million Korean people, I'm talking about torture, some of the worst shit you will see. Some of the worst ways to die, the massacres they committed, the deaths by starvation. After the atrocities we committed against Korea, simply because they chose a different economic system than us, James, but somehow Americans hate North Korea. Americans hate North Korea after everything we did to them. You know why they hate North Korea? Because the media tells them to. When I tell you guys the United States is the most propagandized country in the world, I am not bullshitting you guys. You ask the average American why they hate North Korea so much, they can't tell you. What? You hate North Korea? So we killed 2 million of their people, and then we enact brutal economic sanctions on their country, but they're the bad guys? So explain this to me. You guys see how the propaganda is so thick? I'm going to show you guys one last thing and I'll move on. Because I report on this many times. And there's a reason why I'm passionate about this issue. Because a terrifying amount of Americans support nuking North Korea. Look at this. This is a story that lived rent-free in my fucking mind. You guys need to start asking yourself some questions, my brothers. So a country that resists the Zionist entity, a country that defeated U.S. imperialism and was a victim of U.S. sanctions and was the result of 1/5 of their population being wiped out. But Americans want to nuke North Korea. Look at this headline. Americans are terrifyingly supportive of nuking civilians in North Korea. 1/3. As of 2019, 1/3 of Americans embrace a nuclear strike. The fuck? So, and James, you realize, I know this is extreme, but you know those numbers are worse when you ask them basic stuff, right? When you ask Americans, do you support sanctions on North Korea? It's like 70, 80% say yes. Like, do you think the United States should go to war with North Korea? Like 50, 60? It's like insane. You guys have no idea how broken Americans are.
My question is, well, my question for those people who say we should is, what has North Korea did against us?
They can't answer. I've been asking this question for years, James. Now think about their mindset. Go ahead, James. No, sorry, go ahead.
It's another question is, okay, how many bases does North Korea have outside of its own country? What imperialist projects have North Korea done outside of their own borders, right? What type of a problem have they committed against us or against our neighbors or our allies? What kind of atrocities have they committed against our allies in order to extract resources from their countries or do regime change? What have they actually done to us?
James, North Korea has been strong allies with Cuba. For decades, they've been calling for lifting the Cuban sanctions. For decades, they've been critical of the U.S. imperialism. They don't tell you every single act. They was critical of the war in Iraq, the Operation Condor sanctions against South America. They're strong allies with Nicolas Maduro. They are there every step of the way opposing U.S. imperialism. So why shouldn't peace-loving people be supportive of North Korea, who is an enemy of U.S. imperialism? This is why you've been taught to hate them. Go ahead, James. Sorry, finish your thought.
But here's the thing. It's just wild. This is toddler logic, because here's the problem. People being mad at North Korea And North Korea hasn't really done anything wrong to us or to the West, right? Them being mad at North Korea for just doing their own thing is like a little kid asking to play with another little kid's toy, and because the other little kid said no, they get mad and point to them and go, "You need to punish them because they won't let me play with their toy." Like, what?
James,
Are you kidding me right now? This infant type of mentality where we have to punish people because they don't do their economic system the way we want them to do, that is paternalistic as hell. That is absolutely makes no sense. Either you believe people have their own sovereignty and self-determination, or you don't. And the thing is, they're not doing any harm to other nations. So if they're not doing any harm to other nations, then why you gotta put your hand, up there behind like a puppet and operate them how you want? Like, no, you don't get to do that. Y'all try to do that to all these African countries. You try to do it to all these countries in South America. And by the way, the person who in the chat was like, "Don't say black and brown. What the F? It's only black." No, baby. It is brown. Brown countries and black countries are constantly being fought against and exploited and treated horribly by the West. It's not just countries in Africa. It's countries in South America. Do your research. Thank you for coming to RBN. But this is one of the points that a lot of people don't realize, is that this country has been doing this to black and brown countries all over the world because they want their resources.
Yep.
That's always what it's about. And the thing is, like, this is exactly what they want to do with North Korea because they want the resources there too. That's always what it's about. And I'm sick and tired of people going, "Well, we just need to just focus on us." I'm like, well, if we want to focus on us, then we need to stop doing what we're doing to other people.
You want to know who was a strong ally with the Black Liberation Movement? North Korea. You guys know there's nothing more coonish than hating North Korea. I'm gonna show you guys the receipt on this. But before I show you, because we're doing the segment. This is our last segment today. So fuck it, we're doing it. We're doing the North Korea segment. Okay. You guys know I love doing North Korea segments because it's something that no one else in left media covers. You got people in left media that still repeat bullshit about North Korea. Like, it's crazy that no one else figured this out. The same people who question the CIA and the government about everything else, they believe everything the CIA says about North Korea. My apologies, my homie Dennis Rodman. We didn't recognize your game, homie. Eva Bartlett, we're gonna have her on. She's busy. She said she's gonna come on in a few weeks. She went to North Korea. You know what everyone says when they go to North Korea? If North Korea was this hellscape that everyone told you, wouldn't other countries investigate that? Guess what they do? Do you guys know that there's a transfer student program between China and North Korea? Do you guys know that? A lot of people don't know this stuff. I was obsessed with North Korea for the last few years. There's so much stuff Americans don't know. There is a program where North Korean students and Chinese students often study abroad in these other countries. So if North Korea was the concentration camp that people told you was, wouldn't the North Korean students refuse to come back? And wouldn't the Chinese students that study in North Korea come back home and tell everyone what the fuck is going on? That is not what happened. In fact, you not only that wrong, you have reporters all over the world that go to North Korea and they tell you over and over and over and over and over again that North Korea is not the country that the West painted it as. But people still refuse to accept this. Are things perfect? No, because they were being sanctioned by the biggest economic entity in human history. Despite U.S. sanctions, they provide homes for their people, they provide health care to their people, and they give away surplus food for free. Do you guys know that? Oh, no, you did not, because you're propagandized by America. If you are a socialist, if you're on the left, you should be praising North Korea. The CIA left refused to do it. They like, oh my God, don't you know they're authoritarian? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. So a country that was waged war against, millions of their people wiped out by the West, brutal economic sanctions on them, and extreme xenophobia by the West, and you guys surprised that they're a little bit militaristic? Motherfucker, imagine losing 1/5 of your population while the rest of the world said it wants you to be nuked. Of course they'll be militaristic. The best move that North Korea has done was become nuclear. You know the thing that we hate them for? Because if they didn't become nuclear, the United States would have been wiped them out. Gaddafi gave up. This is something else you guys don't know. Gaddafi actually is the reason why North Korea became nuclear. Because once North Korea saw Gaddafi give up his nuclear program, they was like, oh man, we can't do that, bro. So that's the only reason. The only reason they are militaristic is to protect their people. And they got a lot of trauma, to be real, too. They got a lot of trauma. So, of course, they're nationalistic, and they have the unity in the sense that they're fighting the occupier. So when Americans see like the super nationalistic shit out of DPRK, it freaks them out. But that's a natural response of fighting the West and having the West want you dead. Now, last thoughts I say before I wrap this up, because I know there was an unplanned last segment of the day. Think about the mindset of this, because Americans support bombing, 1/3 of them support nuking, most of them support starving the country. Let's say you don't believe anything I just tell you. Let's say you're a little propagandized child adult who still believes North Korea is the authoritarian hellhole you've been presented as. So is your response to that? Let's say you're like, oh my God, I hate North Korea because the way North Korea treats their people. So if you hate North Korea because the way they treat their people, how is the response nuking them? Oh man, I think the North Korea government is so tyrannical. I want to free the North Korean people, so I want to free them by nuking them. How does that make sense? If you're one of the people that are concerned about the Korean people, why would you call for more sanctions on the government? Wouldn't you want sanctions to be relieved? So all the people who call for that don't actually care about the Korean people. Do you guys understand? That's the point. I'm going to show you guys this last receipt because since I went full in on North Korea today. Something else you didn't know. James, my brothers, my sisters. The height of coonery are Black people who have Kim Jong-un, North Korea derangement syndrome. North Korea's unlikely history with Black radicals. Do you guys know the Black Panthers had a solidarity movement with the DPRK in North Korea? Oh man, the amount the Americans don't know is astounding. I know because I learned this shit recently. I'm not trying to play holier than thou. I'm not being holier than thou, James. This is shit I learned within the last 5 years as I became obsessed with what I call anti-imperialist theory. So if you're on the left and you're a socialist, if you're a Black radical, you should be supportive of China. You should be supportive of DPRK. And yes, I said it, and I will continue to say it with my chest. So I'll shut up. I'll be done. I only plan on doing that. Sorry, I put the wrong button. I only plan on doing an hour today, by the way. So I'm gonna wrap up there. I had a segment about Lebanese soldiers getting wrecked. So I'll just show you guys one receipt. No need to go really long on it. I'll probably cover this more in detail. But you have all these Lebanese soldiers getting murdered. I'm gonna edit the title to make it more accurate based on what we actually talked about. But this was a segment I was about to do. I'll just go by it real quick. There's all these Twitter posts of Israeli soldiers being wrecked into Lebanon. Very easy to bomb children. But when you actually engage in combat, you get fucking wrecked. These are the face of the terrorists who died. What I tell you guys, these people who can't fight. But anyway, that's a segment I kind of cut today, but that's the gist of it. That Israelis can't fight. I guess I'll read super chats and then James. Anything you want to add before we get to super chats? Any last thoughts? Because I gotta get out of here. I only plan on doing an hour, but it was fun. It was fun.
Tomorrow there will be a special stream at it'll start at 1:30, but it's at 2 p.m. There's going to be a rally in Dearborn, Michigan tomorrow. It's going to be Worker Strike Back. The Jill Stein campaign and Abandon Harris will be on the ground, so that will be streamed directly from RBN as well as from the Worker Strike Back site as well, and I'll be streaming it from my channel as well. So just to let you guys know that will be starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
That's gonna be a banger. I have Mark Kimberly join us on Tuesday. I see Kosak and join us on Monday.
I'll be there on Tuesday.
Dope. Oh shit. JB, Mark Kimberly. Oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah. She's gonna be talking to. Well, really, she'll be there. Actually, it's really for me, because you and Margaret are going to be giving me a class 101 on Syria. So
Yeah, Margaret, Kimberly, Black Alliance for Peace. They have a lot of influence on our politics, no doubt about it. Much love to Margaret, Kimberly. Fiorella is tentative Wednesday. I'm thinking about combining that with the Nico show. Because Nico coming on Friday. So Fiorella is going to be either Wednesday or Friday. I'm going to reach out to her. But it's going to be tentative one of those days. So next week is going to be a banger. I'm going to read the last few super chats I didn't get to, and then we wrap up. Thank you for $2, Chima. It was the U.S. who sold Korea out to the Japanese. Speaking of, you know how like we talk about Americans hate Koreans for some reason? You have people who are like Japanese Americans. They're like the biggest war hawks against China. It's weird. Like, and the fact you have Japan that doubled their military budget in preparation for a future war with China, and they say stuff like, "Oh my God, China is so aggressive." Motherfucker, after what you guys have done, after what Imperial Japan did to China, after the atrocities the Japanese people committed on Chinese people, you guys should keep China out of your mouth forever. Who the fuck are you as a Japanese American, as a Japanese period, to judge anything that China has done after what you guys did? After the mass rapes, the experiments they had on Chinese people, they did medical experiments on them. They engaged in mass rapes. Like, bro, the worst war crimes. I'm trying to make sure I get the name right. The rape. The rape of Nanking, I think it is. That's the one I learned about. It's like I was so mad. Oh, I got it wrong. The Nanjing Massacre, also known as the rape as Nanjing. I said Nanking. Bro, look this. If you guys gonna get mad, here, this is what I was looking up. If you guys gonna get mad, look this shit up, bro. Look at what the Japanese did to the Chinese. The rape of Nanjing, and then the audacity of these motherfuckers to say stuff like, "Oh, China's aggressive." Fuck you. You just side with America after what you did. Just a side point. Nanking is just an old name. Maybe that's why I keep getting it wrong. Either way, not that big. It's cool. I take L sometimes. Thanks for $2. Democracy corrupted by money. Well said. I think we got just 1 or 2 more here. Thank you for $5. Stay strong. Thank you, Cap, for that one. Big shout out to Daniela for the super sticker. We also have a new membership. Big shout out to Dorothy George. I don't think I read this one. I think this is the last one. I record RBN takes, post them to my friends and fam. That's what's up. I'm trying to get my bro on board. Liam, the mayor of North Wales, give him a holler, Nick. Appreciate the super chat. That's all I have for today. Hopefully you guys enjoy the weekend stream. James, any last words that you want to say before we log off here? Any last shout outs?
Nah, just make sure to see us this Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern for Margaret, Kimberly, and Nick. They're going to be putting out a banger, and they're going to be giving me some lessons. So I am going to be excited for that because I will be sitting on the magic carpet, crisscross applesauce in front of Margaret and Nick.
That's going to be a banger. Banger after banger after banger after banger. Thank you guys for watching. Take care. Have a good weekend, guys.